If you've been following me for a while, you might know that I stopped writing completely for a while. It was not writer's block, it was burnout or something more like expectational burnout. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but maybe when I've distanced myself enough from it. And I'm not going to certainly talk about it on a video. I am an introvert, and I think if I ever share my story, it will be more on paper or an e-paper, if you will. And if you want to know my story, do consider joining my newsletter. The more people join, the more confidence I gain. With every new person joining my channel, I get a tiny boost of confidence that I will never be able to express. So thank you if you've already joined, and if you want to, the link is in the description box below. Because I do know something about burnout, which is what I'm talking about right now. I think one of the most frustrating parts of burnout is that it steals things you normally enjoy. Not just work, everything. Reading, cooking, conversations, music. The hobbies that usually make life feel a little more manageable suddenly start feeling like additional tasks on a very long list. And if you're someone who normally reads a lot, burnout can create a particularly strange kind of guilt. You buy the books, you stack the books, you carry the books from one room to another, you even open the books. But somehow the reading part never quite happens. Or you read the same paragraph 4 times and realize you've absorbed absolutely none of it. Which unfortunately is a fairly reliable burnout experience. One of the mistakes people make during burnout is assuming they need to push through it the same way they push through everything else. So they choose ambitious books, dense books, important books, books that require concentration, energy, attention, commitment, and then they wonder why reading suddenly feels impossible. The problem is not necessarily the reading. The problem is that burnout changes what your mind can comfortably hold. A burnout reader is not the same reader they were 6 months ago. And I think bibliotherapy becomes particularly useful here because it starts with a very simple question. What does this person actually need right now? Not what should they read, not what would impress other readers, not what belongs on a literary bucket list. What do they need? Because burnout is fundamentally an experience of depletion. You're running on emotional reserves that have already been spent, which means this is usually not the moment for books that demand more from you than you can realistically give. When I'm thinking about reading for burnout, I often find myself moving toward shorter forms. Essays, brief memoir pieces, poetry, quiet novels with room to breathe. Not because long books are bad, because attention is finite, and burnout tends to reduce it dramatically. One of the nicest things about a short essay is that you can finish it. That sounds obvious, but completion matters when you are exhausted. You read 10 pages, you finish, the experience feels whole. A 1,000-page masterpiece can wait. It will still be there later. Another thing I think helps is abandoning the idea that reading must be productive. Burnout often develops in environments where everything becomes productive. Rest becomes productive, exercise becomes productive, friendship becomes networking, reading becomes self-improvement. At some point, your brain starts treating every activity as another obligation. and then wonders why it's exhausted. Sometimes the most restorative reading is reading that serves absolutely no purpose beyond being pleasant. No lesson, no optimization, no personal growth objective, just genuine enjoyment. I think readers forget they are allowed to do that. Particularly serious readers, we become very attached to reading because we think we should read. Meanwhile, the book we actually want to read is sitting quietly on the shelf waiting to be noticed. Burnout is not usually the time for intellectual self-discipline, it's the time for kindness, including literary kindness. Read the novel you've already read 3 times. Read detective fiction, read nature writing, read children's literature, read poetry you can finish in 2 minutes. Read whatever lowers the barrier between you and the page. Because maintaining the relationship with reading matters more than maintaining your reading goals. And honestly, I think this is one of the places where bibliotherapy differs from internet reading culture. Internet reading culture loves achievement. How many books, how quickly, how difficult, how impressive. Bibliotherapy is interested in something else. What helps? They're not always the same thing. A book can be intellectually impressive and emotionally useless. A small, quiet book can be exactly what someone needs. The context matters, the reader matters, the moment matters. And if you're burnt out right now, I think that's worth remembering. You do not need a reading challenge. You do not need a complicated system. You probably do not need a 12-book self-improvement plan. You need a book that asks less of you. A book that understands you have very little left to give right now. And that is a perfectly reasonable thing to need. If you've been carrying the same unread books around for 3 weeks, consider this official permission to choose something easier. The difficult books can wait. They are already published. They will always be there waiting for you. Waiting for the right time.